Okay, so what we're going to do for our spiral review, instead of writing these down, we're going to, we're just going to talk about them. Hey. Yeah. Are you no, but I'll talk to you. Okay. All right, so raise your hand if you know one feature of civilization. Holman? Were you raising your hand? You got to know one. You know one of them? You going to pass it to someone else? Pass it to someone else. Give her. What do you got? Specialization. Every civilization has job specialization. Okay? So all civilizations have specialized jobs. Why were they able to have specialized jobs? Because they had enough what? Money. They had enough people because they had enough food. Very good. So tell me another one. Holman, tell me another one. Big cities. All civilizations had big cities that were the centers of trade and communication. Good. Keith.
Organized religion.
They all had organized religion to explain the unexplainable. All had organized government. Now, sometimes that government was just one guy, right? Sometimes that government was just one guy. Don't walk in front of my camera. It was just one guy who was in charge, right? But it was still, there was somebody in charge. I haven't seen them. You can look. Go ahead. They all had social classes. Did that mean that they thought all people were created equal? No, it was the opposite of that. All people were not created equal. When did that start happening? Here, right? When we believe all people were created equal. Yes. They all had organized government. Yes. They all had record keepers. Now, were they always written down? No. But they did all keep records. They all had public works. Give me an example of a public work. No, that's a literary work. We're looking at a public work, something that the government builds for the people.
The ziggurats?
No, they didn't build that for the people. That was the house for the god. Okay, what is something that the government builds for the people to use now? They're always working on them. Roads, right? Roads, bridges, canals. Good. There's the last one. What's the last one? All civilizations had art and architecture. Art is what man creates to express himself. Art is only done by man to be enjoyed. And it's one of the only things. That's why animals are different from men. Because animals don't make art. Right? Good. Next. So what I want you to do now is take a minute and think, what does the word justice mean to you? Take about 60 seconds. What does justice mean to you? What does justice mean to you? You got 60 seconds. Okay, what does justice mean to you?
To me, justice means righting the wrongs of others.
Righting the wrongs of others, okay. Okay, anybody else? Go ahead. Right and fair, I like it. Revenge, that's the second time I've heard revenge today. Yes. Doing the right thing. All right, so we're kind of getting your mind put all together of doing what's right, or laws, or punishments for people who deserve it, right? You agree? All right, good. Next. So here's your essential question. If you notice on the notes, I already have that written in. You don't have to write that down. So our essential question are, what are the main points of Hammurabi's code, and did it help civilization? And another way to look at that is, why was Hammurabi's code important, and what are the principles of justice? Okay, next. So what are we doing? We're examining how Hammurabi changed Mesopotamia, and what are the principles of justice. Why are we doing this? It's a tested standard, and learning about the justice of ancient Mesopotamia will connect them with our civilization today. Next. Next again. So, if you look on your notes, the first question it says is, who was Hammurabi? Hammurabi was a Babylonian king who introduced the first written law code. You can write it underneath the question, or you can write it in the big space to the right. Hammurabi was a Babylonian king who introduced the first written law code. Why is it important to have laws written down? Yes?
So people don't do bad stuff and they get punished for it.
Yeah, so people know what the laws are. Am I right? The code governed the people of his fast-growing empire. Who can tell me what an empire is or was? No, it wasn't many armies across the continent.
A kingdom, basically kind of like a kingdom of foreign lands.
Yes, it's where one land is ruled by a foreign government, either through force or by treaty. And if you look right here, Hammurabi ruled in Babylon, but did he rule other city-states?
Yeah.
Yes, he ruled a vast territory of land. By the time of his death, Hammurabi's death, his empire included much of modern-day Iraq, extending up from the Persian Gulf along which two rivers?
Tigris and Euphrates.
Tigris and Euphrates. Very good. So everybody knows who Hammurabi was, right?
Yeah.
We feel good about that.
Yeah.
Babylonian king who introduced what?
The first set of written laws.
First set of written laws. Next. There are as many as 300 laws that discuss a wide range of subjects, including homicide, assault, divorce, debt, adoption, tradesmen's fees, agricultural practices, even disputes regarding the brewing of beer. So what this was is what you're going to write down is this was a law code that discussed many different laws. This was a law code that discussed many different laws that were important to the people. Who's still right? It was a law code that discussed many different laws over a wide range of topics important to the people. Or you could just write this. Or you could just write this. It's just one sentence. Just a big sentence. It was a law code that discussed had many different topics important to the people. Who's still right? Next. After Hammurabi's death, oh, by the way, how many laws?
300.
300. So I think that's the next question. How many laws were on there? About 300. After Hammurabi's death, his system of laws became something of a classic in the ancient world. Scholars have found examples of them written on tablets, which were copied as late as the 5th century BC, more than a millennium after Hammurabi's death. How long is a millennium? 1,000 years. 1,000 years. So the answer to that is 1,000 years. Go back up one. If you look at this, what did most of these people back then write on? Clay tablets, right? This is a what's called basically a cylinder seal. This is a clay seal that is written the laws on them, and then it's coated with some kind of varnish to make it last a long time. This thing is 7 feet tall and as big around as me. This is big, this is huge. It's in the Louvre, Paris, the Louvre Museum in Paris. 5,000 years old. Yeah, it's huge. 7 feet tall. That big. Next. And here's some written down in cuneiform on other tablets. Why were those laws used for so long? Best. Why were those laws used for 1,000 years?
I don't know, maybe because he was like a famous person.
Maybe because he was famous.
Maybe because they were the first ones, so everybody just got used to following them.
Maybe they were just good. Maybe they were just good laws that people got used to following them. You all agree? I think so. It really made Hammurabi very famous. He was, and he still is. He still is. But they were effective laws. Now some of them are pretty rough. We're going to talk about it in a few minutes. Next. Okay, considered to be a model for modern laws. General violations like stealing, lying, and murdering were punished harshly. This is ruled by what?
Law.
It is. Why did people obey the law? Because they were what? Afraid. This is ruled by fear. Does rule by fear work?
Yes.
It really does. You should be afraid to break the law. Now that's kind of part of the problem the kids have today. And when I was a kid and I broke the rules in school, something was going to happen to me and they're going to take me down the hallway and I was going to get a whipping. Okay? Now and everybody heard it. Okay? Now you're like, I don't want to do that. I could not imagine when I was a kid telling a teacher no. Hey, do this. No. I mean, I would be terrified of what would happen to me not only at school, when I got home. Okay? You all don't have a healthy fear of authority. Now, I think you would gain wisdom by having a healthy fear of authority. It'll help you your whole life. It'll help you your whole life. They do share some of the same basics with our own government, such as justice and legal rights of everyone in one place. Hammurabi's code was agreed by the general public for everyone to follow, and no one can be an exception to the law. Except who? Except the king, right? Because the king was not like you. The king was descended from who?
God.
The gods, right? So the king doesn't have to follow the laws. If the king said, kill that guy, what are they going to do? They're going to kill that guy. Okay, so that's how it is. Because this well-known law code was the earliest known recorded law, it seems like the modern law has evolved from Hammurabi's law code, which served as a model for later generations. So we're always looking, as we're studying, what did these people do that is still used, such as irrigation. We know that irrigation is still used. Writing is still used. Written down laws are still used. Next. The rule of law is basic concern in the creation of our own Constitution. Constitutional law can be fully and effectively implemented. Laws of a country or region are respected by the citizens. Now, if you were to see on your notes, we look down at our notes, what are the principles of justice? The principles of justice are this. There's the rule of law. You have the laws are written down and known by everyone. Everyone knows the law. So one of the principles of justice is everyone knows the law. So write that down. Where it says, what is justice? The principles of justice. Everyone knows the laws. Another principle of justice. Both the people and the government agree that these are the laws. Okay? The government can say, no, this is the law. The people are like, well, that's not the law, this is the law. No. Everybody has to agree what the law is. The government and the people agree what the law is.
Where do you write for what is rule of law?
We hadn't got to the flaws yet. We'll talk about that in a minute. Hit next. Hit next again. Okay? You don't have to worry about this right now. Another example of what is justice is everyone has to follow the same laws. There can't be some laws for some people and not laws for other people. Now, do we always have justice? Not always. When some people are allowed to steal and not get in trouble, that's not justice. Okay? If you or I were to steal and get in trouble and someone else were to steal and not get in trouble, that's not justice. Yes? The rule of law, this is what we're talking about. The rule of law is having the principles of justice. The rule of law is the laws are written down, everyone follows the same laws, and both the people and the government know what the laws are. That is one of the reasons that this country is so great, is that not only do we have freedom, but we also have justice. Okay? You don't often have those two together. If you don't have one, you don't have the other. Right? Were these laws, some of them hard? Some of the laws back then, there were 30 of these 300 laws that equaled death if you broke them. 30. 30 of these laws meant death. Okay, that's pretty harsh. That's ruled by what? Fear. Okay? But it also keeps what? Starts with an O. Order. What is the opposite of order? Chaos. Chaos always results in what? Starts with a V.
Vicious killing.
What's another? Vicious killing, yes. Another word that starts with a V? V-I-O. Violence. Chaos equals violence. Order equals peace. Now, sometimes order, sometimes it's order to the extreme where you can't do anything that you want to do. Yes, in some countries, sure. But you're usually going to have peace if you have order. All right. There is a big flaw. The punishments were only for individuals if they were in the same social class. The punishments were only equal if you're in the same social class. So, if I'm a noble and Cartman back there puts out my eye, what's going to happen to him? Probably something pretty bad, right? Because he's in a lower social class. Okay? He'd probably be put to death, him and his family. Now, if I put his eye out and I'm a noble and he's just a commoner, I have to pay him a pound of silver. Big difference. Right? There's a big difference. Why? They did not think what?
People were created.
They did not think, hey, if you're talking while I'm talking, you're doing it wrong. Okay? They did not think that all people were created equal. So the punishments were not all equal. There were some people that were better than you. Now, that's a strange thing for us to wrap our brains around. But for a long time, that's how the world worked. It mattered who your parents were. If your parents were rich nobles, you were going to be a rich noble. If your parents were poor farmers, you were going to be a poor farmer. They were not the same punishments. The laws were the same. You had to follow the same rules, but some people were considered better than others. That is very foreign to us because we think all people are what? Equal. Good. Next. Next again. So there is one flaw. Next again. So the flaw for Hammurabi's law code was that all people were not treated equally. But we cannot hold them to the people of the past to the standards of the present. That's called presentism, and it's stupid. Okay? They were the people of their time. That's what they thought and believed. Are you writing this down or are you just drawing circles? I'm just drawing circles. Write this down. You're taking a lot of energy writing circles when you could be writing these down. So what's the flaw?
Not everyone was treated equally.
Not everyone was treated equally. Next. They had judges and we have judges. Why did they need judges? Could Hammurabi be in every place at one time? No. So he had people working for him. Does anybody remember what that's called when you have people working for the government? Starts with a B. Bureaucracy, that's right. So judges would judge all these cases based on Hammurabi's code. Now, here's the thing. Why would anybody want to be a judge?
Because you can
Better than everybody.
Let him answer.
Because you can choose who gets. Well, you could be in a higher social class than everybody.
You could not rise in social class unless you went from a poor person to a scribe. It wasn't that. But you did have what? Starts with P. Power. You did have power. And also, if you had to make somebody pay a fine, they would also have to pay you. You would get part of the fine because you were judging the case. Now, if you got a case wrong, you would have to pay a fine and could never be a judge again. So there was benefit to doing that. You got prestige, you got power.
But you also got to judge it right.
But you had to do it right. You had to do it right. Next. Both were strict. Ours and theirs. Their punishments were a lot different than ours. Both bring what? Starts with an O. Order. You always have to have law and order. It's how a society maintains stability. When there is not law and order, and when there is chaos, your civilization falls apart. So whenever you see on the news, people burning cities to the ground, or having all kinds of chaos, or fighting with police, or smashing windows, is that good for anyone? That is not good. I'm not talking about any social cause. I'm not telling you who's right or wrong about anything, but if you're burning cities to the ground, your own city, that seems pretty dumb, right? Because you got to pay for that stuff with your own tax money. That's like, say, here, let me set my money on fire. That's dumb, okay? Law and order is how you get peace. Peace and resolution through law and order, not through chaos and violence. Next. So what I want you to do right now is you're going to write down the answer to these questions as a review. So as we say in my class, go forth and learn because knowledge is
Power.